What is going on, movie meals? All right, let me get my laptop. I like to have it on my lap so that way we're starting a minute early. Good. Love it. All right, for those of you, anybody who ends up watching, if people do or don't, doesn't really matter to me. I started a podcast called The Weaver Wire. Welcome. This is The Weaver Wire now. It is my podcast where I'm just talking. I'm rambling. I just want to do that. Eventually, we'll be getting guests on when I get a little bit more time to figure some of the more logistics out. So, this is my new format. Every Tuesday, we're going to be here at 7 Mountain Time. So come join in the conversation, post questions. We can talk about anything. We don't have to talk about what's in the topic or the title. I'm open to changing that up. If not, I'll just ramble about things in the news or movies I've seen and whatnot, and that's just fine by me. So if people do or don't watch, doesn't matter to me. So let's just get into the first topic, I guess, since we've just started. I will end early too if I run out of stuff to talk about. That's just how it goes here on the Weaver Wire as I get more guests in and stuff. Hopefully it'll go a little longer and we get people starting to realize the timing. But let's get into Obi Wan Kenobi. What the heck is going on with old Obi Wan Kenobi? So the Obi Wan Kenobi show has now been put on hiatus. They had already begun production on the show for Disney Plus. And when I heard about it, my first reaction was, I am so tired of productions having problems with Kathleen Kennedy in charge of Lucasfilm. That was my first reaction. And I know a lot of people, you've heard me talk at length. I mean, I'm a massive Star Wars fan, but a lot of people hate Last Jedi. A lot of people don't. A lot of people love Rise of Skywalker. A lot of people don't. I like Rise of Skywalker enough. And I love the other two. I love Rogue One. I think Solo is a lot of fun. I think it's a good film. And I think The Mandalorian was excellent. Go check out my review on that. But that being said, Obi-Wan is something that has never made sense with the way Lucasfilm has handled it. If there's any character, if you listen to any fan, every fan, there's one character that we would actually be like, no, let's get a side adventure story with him. And that was always my favorite character, Obi Wan Kenobi. And Ian McGregor wants to do it. He talked about it while he was in negotiations for years and years and years. He wants to play Obi-Wan. He loves playing Obi-Wan. He likes making money, and playing Obi-Wan again is going to help you do that. I just think Obi-Wan is the best character in Star Wars. Hands down. I think Ian McGregor is the best part of the entire prequels. I think Alec Guinness is incredible in the originals. And Obi-Wan to me is the best character. So the Obi-Wan Kenobi show made a lot of sense to me. I would have loved a movie. I would have loved a trilogy of movies with Ian McGregor coming in as Obi-Wan. But I'm very happy with the show. I'm very happy to get 6 hours of content that I can go and then later binge. I think that's awesome. And I'm really excited for it. The problem with Obi-Wan is you greenlit scripts. Kathleen Kennedy greenlit scripts. They begin production. They're cast, all this stuff, and they halt to make the scripts better, and it just doesn't feel right. They put people's jobs on hiatus, and it just felt weird, didn't feel right. Go ahead and leave questions too. We can change up the conversation at any time, or add on to it, please. But the halting of production seems like there's more issues. We're fixing scripts that were already greenlit. The optimist in me is saying maybe this is Kathleen Kennedy seeing something in canon, seeing a more creative idea that would really work. Because I defended Kathleen Kennedy with Solo. I know a lot of people really wanted to see Lord Miller's Solo. I would have liked to have seen it as well, but I very much enjoyed the movie we ended up getting. I think Alden Ehrenreich did a very good job, and I would defend it. If Kathleen Kennedy was going in and looking at these scripts or the dailies for Solo and seeing this crazy slapstick kind of comedy, I can understand why that doesn't feel Star Wars. Um, oh, welcome, Ivan Lynn Wilson. Glad to see you commenting. Yeah, I heard that KK said that they had multiple scripts, but then they had no scripts. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, there's been different reports out there. A lot of people were kind of going with that they had greenlit scripts and then had decided to put it on hiatus to change the scripts. I think that's what's going on. And it could be that that Kathleen Kennedy just didn't like what changed her mind. Could be Big Bob Iger. Could be any of the other producers on these films or heads of Disney that are coming in saying, no, we actually don't like this. Who knows? Um, the Mandalorian was extremely successful. You put in the character everybody's been demanding more than anything when Obi Wan. You've got a success for an amazing show. Get going on it. Deborah Chow made 2 of the best episodes in the entire Mandalorian television show. And she completely earned and deserves to direct Obi Wan. Maybe is it that Kathleen would prefer to make it a film? Maybe she said this is a movie script. This is not a TV script. I don't know. A lot of people speculate, which I also speculated, that could be that Kathleen Kennedy is actually stepping down and that Bob Iger has decided while he's figuring out who's going to end up being in charge, we need to put all projects on hold because currently that's the only project in development and was shooting and started. And I think that's very likely. I think Kathleen Kennedy is one of the best producers of all time. I think people, if you disagree with that, you need to go look at what she's actually produced. Because she has produced some of the greatest films ever. E.T., Back to the Future. She has been a part of some of the best projects ever. That's why George entrusted her to the project. And she's great. Has she done an amazing job with Lucasfilm? I think she's done a good job. I really have. I didn't like Rise of Skywalker as much as everybody else. I didn't love it the way I wanted. It wasn't what I wanted it to be, the ending I thought it could be. I do like the Colin Trevorrow stuff more, and that Kathleen is a big part of standing her ground on what she wanted the movie to be, and that made Colin end up leaving the project, bringing JJ back, and then allowing JJ to kind of get too crazy with a lot of open plot lines. I think that does fall on Kathleen, but I think she's also made a lot of hits. You can call Solo a miss financially, but I think it's a pretty good movie. I think most people enjoy. I think hard Star Wars fans who don't want to give up Solo as much don't like Alden's performance. I thought he did a pretty good job. But I think the casual fan really enjoyed Solo. I think Rogue One made $1 billion. And Rogue One, a lot of people love. A lot of people say it's the best of all the new movies. I think Rogue One is great. I know a lot of people complain about, attached to the characters, this and that, and I'm okay with a Magnificent Seven kind of story. I don't need to get too attached, and I do get a little attached. I've also read the Catalyst book, which is back there somewhere. Yeah, I've read Catalyst, and that opened my eyes more to Rogue One and made me enjoy the film even more. And all 3 of the trilogy movies were a success. The critic divide of Rise of Skywalker is fair, but it seems like I'm not even sure. I think it's probably 50-50 with fans because I talked to a lot of people who love it, talked to a lot of people who are like, man, this is not good. I've seen a lot of online stuff, people who hate the movie. I don't think it's as divisive I don't think it's as yelly as Last Jedi, which clearly had the critic vote and less of the fan vote. What it felt like anyway. I still think the divide for Last Jedi was overblown by louder negatives than it was positives. But I think overall people have enjoyed this new trilogy enough. I mean, all 3 of those made movies. The Force Awakens made $2 billion. So Kathleen Kennedy can say to anybody, I've made extremely successful movies. I was part of an extremely successful streaming show. I'm going to step down. Bring in somebody else. I think Kevin Feige should take over. I think Kevin Feige can handle doing all of it. I think he would want to do all of it. He's just as big, if not a bigger Star Wars fan than he is with Marvel. So I think he would really love to take over Star Wars. And I remember thinking when he got signed on to produce one movie, that was kind of a test run for a new head of Lucasfilm. And I think he could really do it. I think he's got enough people in place at Marvel that he trusts. and I think he would like to do it. If he doesn't, I'm not 100% on board with Filoni or Favreau yet, because I haven't seen enough of the films. I'd like to see Filoni take on a little more, like, ease into it. Sometimes, you know, in sports you don't throw a player in right away. And I think he's made waves at the lower levels and in TV, because Rebels is incredible. The Clone Wars is amazing. I'm stoked for the next for the final season of Clone Wars. That trailer was amazing. I meant to react to it too, and just didn't get a chance. But I loved the trailer. And I just am not sure I'm ready to give him the head of Lucasfilm. You need someone like Kevin Feige, who's not a filmmaker, but he is a fan who loves storytelling. That's why Kevin Feige is so successful, because he is a fan of Marvel Comics, he's a fan of Marvel television, he's a fan of the movies, and when he started to figure out how to do this after a couple of misses with the Fantastic Four movies he was a part of, things like that. He hit with Iron Man, struggled with Iron Man 2, and then he said, we can do this. And it started to work to the point where they really weren't failing, because he figured it out. He was in the game enough to really understand what was happening. And I want somebody like that in Star Wars, because I think they've earned it. They deserve it in Star Wars. I think it's time to do something Old Republic of thousands of years. I want to see hundreds of Jedi and Sith fighting at once. I think that would be incredible. That's why I was stoked for Benioff and Weiss. It's a bummer that Game of Thrones people don't love. And I like the last season enough. I really defended it when I first saw it, and I've come down a little bit on it. Or a good amount on it, but I still think they're incredible storytellers. I think people are quick to blame what happened recently instead of looking at the whole body of work, and this idea that they can't adapt anything outside of those novels, I think is ridiculous. I think they've made some good movies and some solid movies and written some. I'm curious to see what they do with Netflix, because they're going to make something so creatively different. But it's also terrifying to take on Star Wars right now, to take on these big budget Marvel movies, because now The Last Jedi showed us, if you don't do something that can't please every single person to a high extent, they're going to lose their minds, and it's hard. I think Ryan kind of showed that it can be real difficult, and I think that also scared them, and they're like, we're getting destroyed over on the Game of Thrones side. Let's not throw into Star Wars. So I think Kevin Feige, and if it is Taika Waititi, doing the next movie together, I think is a great idea. Do one movie, and if it works, let's make a trilogy. If it doesn't work, that's okay. Then we can step back and say, what can we do? Should we focus more on TV? I like that they're taking another 2-year break from Star Wars films. We don't want to drag Star Wars out. We don't want it to become stale. We want Star Wars to be fresh, where we really get pumped. Every 2 years, I've been extremely excited. A wave will hit out of nowhere where I realize how I'm seeing Star Wars in a couple months. And the shows are a little bit different. The live action stuff, for sure. If Obi Wan and The Mandalorian Season 2 really captures my love that way, and that intense. But I think Kathleen Kennedy might be, to get back to the main point here, I think Kathleen Kennedy could be stepping down, and that is why Lucasfilm is on hiatus, or Obi-Wan is on hiatus. That being said, I also can look at it as a glass half empty, and it could be that the scripts are horrible and Kathleen Kennedy is ruining it, or that the scripts are amazing and Kathleen Kennedy's going in and saying, no, this is too inside baseball again, like they did with Colin's script, and this is too much of this, too much of this, too much of that, we can't have this, And I'm not big on that. Could be, I'm trying to go optimist. It could be that Deborah Trow wrote in, I believe she's writing it, or whoever's writing it, that they wrote in a big fight with Darth Maul, and that doesn't work. Maybe somebody from canon said, no, that you can't do that. We can't retcon Rebels. We can't do that. That's another thing with Kathleen Kennedy. She needed to hire somebody to understand what was going on in the novels and the comics and the movies, and to be part of the conversation of what they can and cannot do. Sam Witwer tells a really interesting story about when he voiced Maul in Solo, that they said, well, he's going to have his double-bladed lightsaber, and Sam Witwer just spoke up and was like, which double-bladed lightsaber? And they were like, well, the one he has in Phantom Menace. He goes, he doesn't have that anymore. The character doesn't have it. We can't just please the fans because you remember it from 1999. We have gotten rid of that. We've told other stories. And I want Obi-Wan, I'm hoping that's not the problem, is that later they realize, oh crap, there's a bunch of canon stuff we have to change. Because I wouldn't want that. I really like, I mean, Obi-Wan's my favorite character. I think him having a conversation with Vader would be really interesting. So we do get a little bit confirmation that they do kind of know about what's going on. Sense to maybe get some, maybe show some stuff with the Force. The Force kind of messes with his mind a little bit. Maybe that would help explain why he is. And I mean, help explain. George made a movie not knowing at the time he was going to make 3 more movies, 3 prequel movies. So he shot Obi-Wan as if it would have been a long, long time. So it would be interesting to see some Force stuff maybe mess with Obi-Wan's mind a little bit and make it hard for him to remember some things. That would be an interesting way to end a series or a film or a trilogy. To kind of go into that he remembers his Jedi history. He remembers a lot, but some of the things like the name Obi-Wan Kenobi and things like had to come back slowly as the Force had kind of taken it away, or if he cuts himself off like Luke did, I think would be interesting. But I hope Obi-Wan is not on break for some seriously bad reasons, and I hope it does start up soon. Because I think it is a show everybody deserves, or a film everybody deserves. We deserve an Obi-Wan movie. I never understood years ago when they talked Yoda and Boba Fett. Those always bothered me. Boba Fett showing up in Mandalorian? That's a cool idea. You can do a lot of cool stuff with that because it's a non-Mandalorian... well, the long debate is he or is he not Mandalorian, but with Boba Fett going after the Mandalorian and this next bounty hunter that he did get through the Sarlacc pit going after Baby Yoda, I think would be really interesting if it was a cat and mouse game for 8 episodes. I think that'd be awesome. But a solo movie with Boba Fett I never was super on board with. A bounty hunter movie, Jabba the Hutt, The Underworld, that sounds interesting. A Yoda movie I don't want. I like the way we're getting Baby Yoda. I don't want a lot of explanation on the species. If we get the species name, I'm okay with getting the name of the species. But if you start explaining why they're so great in the Force, that there's so many of them, there's a whole planet of them, I don't really want that. I want it to be a small knit community of these kind of creatures. Maybe it's one every certain amount of time, like the Avatar, that one of these species pops up eventually. I don't need explanation on the age. I can figure that out in my head, that he's 50 as an infant who can just kind of walk, and he's 900 something like that in the end of Return of the Jedi. I don't need, or 800, however, I'm blanking on how old he was, but I don't need all that in between stuff. I don't need it. I don't want it. Good to see you still commenting, Ivy Lynn Wilson. Please do. A Boba Fett movie would have been a snooze fest for me. Yeah, and I really don't disagree. I don't know if it'd been a snooze fest. You know, if they announce Denis Villeneuve's making a Boba Fett movie, you've got my attention. Denis Villeneuve is one of the best directors working today, especially in the sci-fi genre, sci-fi and fantasy genre. So then I have my attention, and I'm much more curious. But at the time, it was the guy who made Chronicle and then the Fantastic Four movie, whose name I'm blanking. Always happens when I'm in the lights. I always forget names and important dates and facts. But he is a great director, and I remember being hesitant about his movie because I didn't want a super... I just didn't love the idea of a Boba Fett movie. I don't know about a snooze fest. To me, that I don't think I'd fall asleep or things like that, but I get where you're coming from. It's not what I want. Bounty Hunter, a whole Bounty Hunter movie about the Guild, a lot more interesting to me, and we end up getting that in The Mandalorian. And The Mandalorian clearly works. There is an appetite for it. But a Boba Fett movie is off the IP. We don't need to always go off the IP. The audience is not stupid. If you feed them the right information, they will understand it. I.e., JJ, just say holocron. But like The Mandalorian is only known to the cartoon watchers or the hardcore fans. Casual fans don't know it, and they realize, oh, it's a bounty hunter. He looks a lot like Boba Fett and Jango Fett. What is this? And then they find out a little bit more of the history. You can explain it. The audience is not stupid. If you explain it, they'll get it. But anyway, Ivy Lynn, if you're still here in the chat, or whoever's anybody in the chat, comment any questions or whatnot. I'm probably going to transition off of Obi-Wan here now, unless you got any final things you'd like to say on Obi Wan or any questions or Star Wars in general, please put them in the chat. But I do think Obi Wan will go back on. I think the Ian McGregor clip is good. What is this going on? I think the Ian McGregor thing is good, where he's gonna know better than anybody, and I hope that he is truthful that we are filming. We have not changed that date. We haven't actually canceled. We're just taking a break. We're trying to figure some things out. We're working on the scripts, and I'm okay with all that. So I'm okay with it. I'm nervous. I'm hesitant. I was very upset when I first heard it, but I think it will eventually come out. I think they'd be ridiculous not to put it out. But I'm gonna take a quick second to get a drink here real fast out of my Force Awakens mug here. Turn Baby Yoda around as well. So let's see. I somehow wish we could have a movie about the novels, like Lost Stars. I think that'd be so cool. I couldn't agree more. I got Lost Stars right here. It's actually my brother's copy. He left it, and so I kept it. I actually listened to Lost Stars on Audible, and I couldn't agree more. Lost Stars is the novel. I tell people, if we want to do something really different in Star Wars to change the genre, Lost Stars is a great idea to adapt. It is such an interesting take on growing up as lovers of the Empire that people did. You know, the Empire was created off of inspiration of Nazi Germany and World War II. That's where Lucas came from with all this stuff. You show that kids grew up like in Nazi Germany, which, like, Jojo Rabbit is a great movie in that with that example, that they grew up idolizing and loving, and these two kids wanted to be the best pilots in the Empire. It's reflective of what's going on a lot today in our society, and I think it's an amazing story. I am gonna give, but I won't give any spoilers of the story away in case anybody watching on the playback hasn't read the novel. But it is amazing. It's a love story. It's drama. It's action. I would love it. You age with the characters, and you watch them grow to the moment where you're rooting for two sides to accomplish two different things. And I think it would be an incredible story to adapt. I think you could do it in a trilogy. I think you could do it in one movie. That would be a cool TV show too. Give me 7 seasons and expand on the novel. And let's get even more in depth. That would be interesting. Or just a mini series. Give me 1, 2 seasons, 10 hours of content of Lost Stars. And I would lose my mind for that. I would love that. And there's lots of great young actors and actresses in their 20s who can who could play the adult versions of both the characters. And I mean, I'm just trying to even think of a young actress that I'm trying to think off the top of my head who'd be so. And Emma Thompson in that role would be amazing, or Anna Taylor-Joy would be great. Chloe Grace Moretz would be awesome. Put any of these young actors and actresses. I've been wanting Zac Efron to take on a big role in forever. You put him in that role, he'd knock it out of the park. He'd be great. There's lots of great actors you could do. There's also, side note, there's also been this rumor forever that they want to do a young Mace Windu movie, which I actually think would be cool because a lot of the Mace Windu lore comes from Legends that isn't canon anymore. And if it was Michael B. Jordan playing a young Samuel Jackson, that would be incredible. I would love a movie like that. Show us the purple lightsaber, why his is purple. Because, you know, the rumor is that he had dealt in the dark. He would pull from the dark side if it meant saving people, and that he landed more in the middle. He landed more with Grey Jedi. It would be very interesting to see that unfold with Michael B. Jordan. But yes, Lost Stars, I think, would be an excellent adaptation to do, because it is by far still, to me, the best novel, and I'm slower with the novels. I don't have as much time to read as I would like. And the comics, I try to keep up as much as I can. Sometimes for the comics, I've just got to do quick reads. For the novels, it takes me a little longer. I'm still trying to get through Resistance Reborn. I'm really enjoying it, but I just don't have time to read right now. When summer hits, that's when I usually try to pump out a few novels. And I want to read more. Most of the ones up here I have read. Last Shot, Aftermath, I'm rereading on Audible because I wanted to get another idea of all that, because I hadn't read it in so long that I wanted to get that trilogy, even though it wasn't my favorite of the novels. I wanted to get those. Sorry, I'm going on a novel tangent. Catalyst was great. I really liked Bloodline and the Leia novel, the Thrawn. All the Thrawn ones are great. I've only read the first one right now. And the Phasma novel is one that I have not gotten to. I don't own, but I'm really glad to hear that you love it so much, because I do want to read that one and get more in depth with Phasma, because I don't hate the way Ryan used Phasma. I don't hate it at all, actually. I really liked their final confrontation. I think it was epic. I think it was great. I think the Rebel Scum line is a little prequely, but I think it works. But I'm a little bummed we didn't get more with her. Sure. But I did like Phasma a lot. Interesting character. At least we got a little bit with her, unlike the Knights of Ren. Sorry, I'm still taking jabs because I'm still salty. But anyway, if you've got any more questions, Lynn. Oh, it looks like you're just throwing one in. And I liked Queen's Shadow. I will be getting another... The Padme one, Queen's Shadow and the Queen's Pearls, is that, I believe that's what it was, the sequel is called. I have not read either of them, and I'd love to. I really want to. I tend to usually go towards ones that are a little bit less with the politics. I like a Resistance. Well, that's a lie. I don't know what I'm saying. I missed the Padme ones. I want to go back and read them. No excuses. I just have missed them. Same with the Phasma. Nothing about the politics. They all have the politics in them, and that's what I do love. So I don't know what I started there. But anyway, yeah. Hey, again, guys, post your questions, post your thoughts at any point. We'll change it up, shake it up. You want to talk about anything different, please do. Because I'm all down for it. We still got plenty of time on the clock. But yeah, I think Lost Stars would be great to adapt. I think that would be... just an excellent adaptation to do. I listened to that on Audible, and I could not get enough of it. I used to have to do these long drives that were 5 hours there, 5 hours to get from one destination to the other, but I usually had to do them in the weekends for a year, quite a bit. So I was going about 10 hours every few days, and that was perfect to just listen to Lost Stars. Highly recommend it. It is incredible. And that's Claudia Gray, right? Did Claudia... Yeah, Claudia Gray wrote that one. I mean, she writes so many of them, but she is... When I hear Claudia Gray's writing a book, I'd love to finally get her writing a script. Let her go nuts with something she just loves. She's a massive Star Wars fan. I think that would be awesome. But I'm going to transition here. Unless you throw a question in, please, but I'm going to transition into just some quick thoughts on My Hero Academia. I love this. If you don't know what I'm talking about, My Hero Academia is an anime. It's currently, I think it's its 4th season that is airing right now, in the sub and in the dub. And I've been watching every Saturday. I look forward to Saturdays. I'm so glad you've just started it because I loved it. I won't do any spoilers. Hopefully, if I do, I will give you fair warning to mute. But I just want to talk about this newest season and just the show. I think My Hero is a great shonen anime. I think it works on every level of what I love. I grew up a fan of anime, of Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, and the way those stories captured my imagination as a kid, the way they made me feel. I mean, I'm a sucker for the main hero at the end of the day just having the power from within to get it done. I've died down a little bit in my adulthood on it, where if I don't have the nostalgia, it has been harder. Like, I tried to get into Fairy Tail later and just kind of couldn't. Like, I like Dragon Ball Super quite a bit, but now it's starting to get a little repetitive to me, and I don't love the storylines as much as I loved, like, Cell and Frieza and Boo. But that being said, My Hero has somehow captured that in me, the young kid in me who was blown away by this anime. The storyline is so interesting. I'm such a fan of superheroes, obviously, that with Baby Soups right there, Superman, in honor of Kyle being there. But I think My Hero, it gets a lot of flack for big action quick. And I'm okay with that. They live in a world of heroes and villains where violence happens all the time. And a big battle's gonna come up. It reminds me of watching like Justice League Unlimited back in the day, and a lot of those type of shows where heroes are everywhere and anything can happen at any time. But it's one big long through line, which I like compared to episodic, and then we just finally get the big battle. I like that the big battle is built a little bit. I think this is true with most animes, and it might just be my opinion. I mean, it is just my opinion, but I think anime tends to be better binged. I think it is better of any platform and show. I think anime benefits the most from binge watching compared to Game of Thrones and I'm not saying you shouldn't binge watch. I did binge watch Game of Thrones and I love binge watching. I love getting all of it at once. As I also like getting it in breaks. I do lean towards getting it weekly compared to breaks because I think it lasts longer in my memory, in the conversation. Like Witcher came, everybody talked about it, and it went really quickly. And I really liked The Witcher. Go check out my review on that on the channel. But My Hero, I like that the conversation is staying. I get to talk with my brother and my friends about the show, the episodes we individually like, but I think it works so much better when you can just binge it, and I'm excited. I need to see how many episodes are left because I'm not sure. I think we're getting close to the end, or I don't know. I never know with anime. It's 24 episodes. I don't know where we start. I think we're halfway through. I have no idea. But anyway, when I figure it out, because I do need a new show to watch, I want to re-binge this new season so that by the time I catch up to the final episode, it'll be airing. So I can do a quick binge through as I had watched everything come out. So when it comes out weekly, I still will watch it, but then I'll binge it right before. Because I think My Hero works better as a binge, but it doesn't mean that the epic moments aren't there. I really like the format where My Hero goes from one season, we're getting all the students in a school-centric driven storyline, and the next we're getting a Deku with a couple buddies going through something. The Stain arc, and now this arc, the Overhaul arc, which I've really liked. I really loved the animation of the last episode. Wow, is it amazing. And it does have some great animation throughout the whole show, but I really liked that. I liked the storyline. I will say this, because I'm always getting in these debates. I do think My Hero Academia, I prefer it in the dub, so I'm an episode behind. I did get a spoiler of this last week's episode for the dub, which was 2 ago for the sub of a character, which did bum me out. I got to be a little bit more careful. But I like the sub enough. But when I watch One Piece, I watched One Piece and I binged it a couple summers ago from start to catch up. And the catch up at that time, they had just started the first the underwater. One Piece is so much. The underwater arc where they go under the sea and meet all the mer people. And again, don't blame me. I'm sorry. I love anime to death. I'm not enough into it. I mean, Star Wars is my main thing. I can't remember half the names sometimes. But they were like just starting that when I started binging, so I caught up at the middle of it. It took me about 3 months to catch up. But I decided to catch up to where it was. So when I got to the end of the dub, which at that point had been in, they were just about to meet Brooke. They had not met him yet, but were about to. I continued to go, and now, maybe this would be true with other animes, but I can't really watch the dub as much now with One Piece, and it's just because a part of they animate so many giant moments with the characters' voices really projecting that sometimes I just don't think the American actors can hit. And there's so many American anime actors that sometimes when I watch it in One Piece, and I did feel this way the first time I watched it as well a little bit with, it's just there's so many of the same actors always doing the same type of roles. They're always like, Chris Sabat's doing the big buff guy, it's that, and I love them and I love when they do it. But when I hear Vegeta and Piccolo or All Might, I'm hearing it or Armstrong from Full Metal, I really feel the character. and I just don't feel it as much. I think it's fine in the dub, but I think the sub really captures it, where My Hero Academia is the opposite. I think the sub doesn't capture those moments as well as the dub does. I think the dub really knows what they have, and they've worked really hard. It's a lot of voice actors I hadn't really heard before that now I'm hearing more, like in Dr. Stone and things like that. Or I had heard before but didn't, but I think they've really embodied the character. And, but I've really, really, really loved the new season. I think it's working really well, and it does capture this childlike in me and that's what draws me to it so much. Where I watched like Dr. Stone, and I've watched the first season of Demon Slayer, and I really like those. I really like Demon Slayer the more I've waited and thought about it. And like I love the English voice actors for Dr. Stone. I think they're great. So I did watch that in the dub. Where Demon Slayer, I didn't get a chance to watch it in the dub. I know it's airing now, and I have heard some clips that I think are good, but I don't love them as much. Maybe it just depends sometimes on just the way I first viewed it. I don't think there's I think good voice acting, you can tell without having to know the language who does it. Like I don't dislike all the. Like, I'm not big on the actress who plays Nico Robin in One Piece in the sub. I just don't think she embodies the character as well, but I really like the one in the dub where Luffy's the opposite. And it's not, some people sometimes just don't fit the characters for individuals, and that's just my opinion. All the actors are incredibly talented, obviously, and the actresses, but that's just kind of my viewing on it. But with My Hero, I think it's just a fun show. And you root for Deku. Unless you're my brother, you root for Deku because you know that at the end of this, he's going to become the greatest hero of all time. We know that is going to happen. But there are moments along the way where it's like, you're nervous for a second. Is he going to get through this? And deep down, when you're not, when you think about it, you know he's going to get through it. Because they told us at the beginning. But then you fall in love with all these side characters, and then you start rooting for them to beat him. And I love that too, because I am rooting for Mirio and Todoroki and Kachan and everybody to end up being the number one hero as well, even though Midoriya is my boy. That's just the way I feel about it, and that's always going to be the way I feel about it, because I just think the show has done a really good job making you really like all the characters, and it makes the show really impactful. When they do have those intense moments, you really like them. The Aizawa stuff, without giving it too much away, Aizawa tends to be around, and I love his character. He's starting to feel a little bit plot protection for me, because they know at some point they're going to need a quirk erased. So they're gonna make him here that he's just helping out, and I'm okay with that. I mean, the camping arc made sense. He was a teacher. I mean, it makes sense. And I love seeing him. I love all the episodes he's in. But I don't want it to really get to that point where it's like, man, Aizawa's here all the time just because we need a quirk erased. But just a little side note. It looks like the people who were watching have left. And I've talked about the two main topics today, didn't get a lot of questions. Please, guys, spread the word. Come every Tuesday, because the more questions we get, then I can go for that full hour. But I don't want to continue to just ramble on forever and ever. I mean, I could, but then I end up starting to repeat myself a little bit. So if you do have a question, please put it in the live chat so we can expand the conversation. But if not, I might wrap this episode up here. But I think My Hero is fantastic. I think it's a great show. I highly recommend it. I think it's a great starting off point for people who have not gotten into anime, who have a stigma against anime, who are a little bit. It depends on the person. If you're not super already invested in storytelling, I think there are other ones you can start with for sure that I think would really work. But I think for others who just enjoy the action, enjoy those moments, who like that kind of style, I think My Hero is a great starting point to get them introduced to anime. But anyway, guys, so I'm going to wrap it up here, I think, unless I get a last-minute question or anything. Please, guys, we're going to have Super Bowls this weekend, which means there's going to be tons of trailers. I know there's going to be a Fast and Furious trailer. Kyle and I will react to that. Might be later in the day, just because him and I now have full-time jobs in the morning, so it's getting tough to do these reactions throughout the day. Oh, that's who shows up in the chat, my boy. What's going on, Dave? Tuning in late again. Well, thank you for turning on the bell, brother. I love it. Yeah, I mean, if you got something quick you want to talk about, Dave, throw it down. I mean, I definitely could stay for a little bit longer. If not, I will wrap it up. But yeah, it's gonna be at 7 o'clock Mountain Time, because that's the time zone you and I are in. Well, for anybody, other people who are in the chat watching, that's the time I'm on. So it'll always be 7 on Tuesdays. I'd like Tuesdays to be the day. It's just kind of easiest for my schedule. If it really works out for other people to do other days, I'm going to look into it. But right now I'm enjoying the Tuesdays. But anyway, yeah, I'm glad you popped in though, man. I always love talking to you. But if I don't get a question, I think I will just end it. So guys, again, this Super Bowl Sunday is going to be lots of good content. Finally, the kind of chill January is coming to a close where we get a couple good, we get some of the Oscar movies finally really coming out. We get some kind of good movies, but not the sweeping summer movies and the Oscar season and all that, which is starting to come up. I mean, Harley Quinn, I think, is next week. Which I know we'll be reviewing that, so I'm really looking forward to them. Check out everything we've got. I'm doing this every Tuesday. Kyle and I made a reaction just yesterday, or a review to The Gentleman. Go check that out. That's another fun movie out in the theaters right now. And yeah, so guys, Obi Wan, my hero. 2 main topics for today. Follow me on Twitter at MovieMealAl. Movie Meals Al, because that, and I'll leave it linked in the description, because you can tweet at me, send me questions too, post them on the YouTube comments, and then I can talk about things you have interest in for the following week as well, if there's no big news or anything. And again, spread the word, be here on Tuesdays, let's try to expand the conversation. And as always, as I wrap up here, thanks for watching, Mom, and we will see you next time, guys. As I take my minute to log out here.